Welcome back to Ivory's Soapbox. I'm Ivory, and I'm currently on my soapbox. Thank you for being here with me. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me tonight, and I appreciate that. Don't forget to like, follow, and or subscribe to all of my platforms, wherever this will be. There's YouTube, Instagram, even on my Facebook page. Follow me on there. But this is episode 7. I'm so excited to be back with you. First episode in April of 2025, and looking forward to being here, talking a little bit about what's been going on and a couple of things that's popped up in my line of work as far as real estate goes. Always questions about it, but I definitely want to put it out there for people who may not know what something is. And so I'm going to get into that here in a second. But I appreciate you guys for being here with me. Tonight's episode 7 is going to be a little bit about real estate. Going to be talking some golf, me going to the Masters with my wife at the beginning of the month. Also going to be talking about the guys' golf trip that we annually have. That took place during the week of the Masters, which was such a fun week. Like, I'm still high for that week for sure. Just being able to hang out, play golf, and not have any care in the world besides if I'm gonna shoot 100. And thankfully I did not do that. But shout out to my boys that did. Love you guys. I need you guys. I need you guys to make me feel better about my golf game whenever I see your scores and see you out there topping, chunking shots. I appreciate that. Golf is hard, man. But anyways, we'll get into that a little bit later. But also maybe hit on some city council stuff. The shirt I'm wearing, sweatshirt, says Ivory Craig Jr. for city council because I'm up for re-election this November. I am currently in my 4th year. City of Mount Holly has 4-year terms, and I'm up for re-election this year. So we'll talk a little bit about that, not too much, but got to throw that in there, especially with me wearing this sweatshirt. Wore it to my city council work session tonight to let people know, I'm putting them on notice that I am running again, even though I've said that multiple times. People ask me. But in case something crazy happens in life, that's my plan at least. Lord willing, I will be able to run again. Getting elected, that's up to the people. I'm going to vote for myself, that's for sure. That's a given. I mean, it's like me having me on my screen of my phone or something, but I don't. Even though if I did, what you gonna do about it? You know, what's up? Nah, but I have my kids and my wife on my screen, by the way, so you don't think that. But anyways, let's get into some real estate stuff. I'm gonna start off with contingencies. I know 99% of people search houses, homes on their phones as much, if not more than I do. Considering, like, I use a different service. I use MLS, and a lot of people use Zillow, the Realtor.com, stuff like that. And they'll send me a house or two and ask, hey, interested in this home. It says contingency. What does that mean? Contingency just means it's pretty much under contract. The seller of that home accepting an offer, the buyer of that home has something that they need to do to purchase the home, whether it's get a loan, do their due diligence period, even if it's cash, have appraisals done if it's a loan, things of that nature. So that's what that means, that it's under contract. It's also, if you're looking to purchase that home, but you have a home to sell, that could be another contingency of why that says contingent on that Zillow.com or whatever website it may be. So if you're selling your home to purchase a home simultaneously, that could be very tricky. So you have to have an experienced broker, realtor like myself that could help you navigate through that, because I've done that so many times. Timing is a huge part of it, and it's probably the biggest part of a transaction with a contingency involved, because you have to think, look at it as yourself looking to purchase a home. You have your current home to sell to use those proceeds to put into the new home you're trying to buy, but not just yourself and the party selling the property that you're trying to purchase, but it's also the third party that is looking to purchase your home. So not only do dates have to line up, but also everyone has to be on the same mind frame pretty much and compromise on a lot of things. So you also lose a lot of negotiation power whenever you're looking to buy a house while you're selling yours, because you can't upset the buyers of the property of your current home, because if they back out of the deal, then you're not going to be able to purchase the house that you're looking to purchase. And that's the whole reason you're even selling your current home. So there's so much into play when it comes to that. So the seller of the house you're trying to buy, they can't necessarily accept a contingent offer from you if their purchase of their new property is contingent upon the sale of their current house. It's a whole mess. It's a lot of stuff going in and out, different parties involved. It's already hard enough to get strangers to agree on certain things. Imagine when it's an entire list of an inspection, appraisal came in low, you wanting something that the seller doesn't want to sell or get rid of, or already said that they're going to take the shed with them, but you want the shed and you said that's the part of the deal. So you can't necessarily negotiate a whole lot except on the potential purchase side. Once you're under contract, you could try to negotiate and ask for certain things, but at the same time, you have to make the buyer of your current home happy. And if they're asking for a $10,000 credit, what are you going to do? Say no? And they're like, oh, well, I'm going to walk away. You have to think about the big picture, especially if you're depending on the close of your current home, those proceeds to put into the new home. And just imagine, think about the dates part of it. So you have party one of the house that you're trying to buy. They're like, okay, we're good with everything. We don't need the proceeds just yet because we're going to be building a new home. We're going to move twice. We're going to move into an apartment, and then we're going to go into our new home. So dates don't really matter to us. But you're saying like you have to work and you can't get off certain days. The party that's buying your house, they also have to have certain dates to where it have to line up as far as due diligence period dates to make sure they line up with what you're looking into. You also have to look at the dates of closing for sure. Even though the seller of properties, most time they can close a few days sooner. So it's just a whole lot that you have to worry about when dealing with contingencies. And also moving twice, you have to think about that, because I know my wife and I experienced to where we were contingent on the sale of our old house to buy the one that we're currently in, and the sellers were absolutely horrible. I think it was just 1 out of 2, but potentially 2 out of 2 sellers, husband and wife, were horrible to deal with. Because my wife at the time was working at the hospital. We were under contract to close like December 2nd. And the sellers kept pushing the closing date, because at that time you had 14 days, a clause that stated you have 14 days that you could push closing for no reason at all. Just because you were having a bad day, you could push closing with no penalty or breach of contract. So now North Carolina, I think within the last like 2 or 3 years, they changed that to where it's a 7-day clause that you could have that. And I like that clause, and I like 7 days is a good number. But we went from December 2nd all the way to December 17th when we closed, 8 days before Christmas. It was horrible. Thankfully, Penelope was at an age to where she didn't understand what was going on anyways with Christmas, because we got to put up like a 4-foot tree, and that was it. We didn't get to decorate it all, get to experience the magic of Christmas during that time, but we couldn't do anything about it. So we ended up having to go ahead, and we went ahead and closed on our current home so we wouldn't have any issues there. We loaded up a U-Haul, stayed at my sister-in-law's house for 4 days until we closed on our current home that we're in. And it wasn't as bad, but at the time it was horrible, because just think about your life pretty much, quote unquote, gets turned upside down for that amount of time because the sellers were being jerks. and given no real reason as to why we had to push closing anyways. And the agents were freaking horrible to work with too. And every time I see their name pop up every once in a while in a house that my clients are looking to purchase, I cringe a little bit because I still remember that experience with them. And people remember that stuff. You got to have a good agent who's willing to fight for you, be able to communicate for you, knows what they're doing, has experience. You can't just work with somebody, your cousin or something, just because of that, because you have to work with someone who's going to fight for you, know what they're doing. Because this is one of those, real estate's tough. It really is, dealing with it and navigating the business and knowing what to do and what not to do. And it's just a whole another planet that people really don't see. They see the TV shows Selling Sunset and stuff and showing $6 million homes for $300,000 commission. Nah, that's like less than the 1%ers that's doing that stuff. Out here, I wake up every day unemployed, looking for work, and I've shown a lot of people that I'm good at what I do. I'll fight for them, and they can trust me. And that's just the name of the game right there. You want to work with people and whoever that you like, know, and trust. And I like to check off all three of those boxes each and every time, and not to lose trust with people, because you could easily do that for a fact, Jack. So contingencies, back to that, is a whole nother ball game. You can't get an agent who's inexperienced when it comes to those things, because you also have to put down due diligence money when it comes to a contingency. So, for example, if you're selling your current home to purchase a new home, even if there's not a contingency, but let's think about this for a second. Due diligence money is a non-refundable money in the state of North Carolina. This is simply just me talking about North Carolina. I'm not licensed in any other state. So due diligence money is non-refundable. It's a credit at closing if you close on the home on your settlement date. However, if you end up backing out of the deal or your home doesn't sell, the sellers of the house you're trying to buy, they keep that money regardless if you walk away or not. So, I mean, I had a deal this year in March 2025 that got it under contract. I was a listing agent for my seller client, went under contract. They gave $5,000 due diligence money. Something happened with the buyer of the house, unforeseen circumstance, and they had to back out of the deal. And they didn't even ask for their money back because they already knew. Like, they took the house off the market. We marked it under contract. We started talking, trying to line up attorneys and stuff like that. We were into it. Not in too deep, but we were into it. But they even asked for it because they knew that's just the nature of the beast. And it sucks, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, going under contract, taking the house off the market, buyers moving on immediately after they're seeing it marked as under contract, that takes a toll. And so that fee is something that the seller gets compensated for because of lost time, damages, quote unquote, stuff like that. So a contingency is no different. If you can't sell your home, if your home is comps at 350, you want to list it at 400 and see what happened, you're probably not going to get your house under contract in time to stay within that time frame to continue to move forward on the house you're trying to purchase. And a lot of this stuff, it's a foreign language to a lot of people. And so it's one of those things you can't learn on YouTube as a tutorial or even in a class. It's one of those things you have to experience multiple times to be able to grasp this way and have that kind of experience of selling and buying homes simultaneously a lot. Also with contingencies, if you're needing to purchase a home, but you have to sell your current home and use the money from the sale of your current home, one of the biggest things that you have to realize, or at least recognize up front, is when you're doing that, it's going to be really hard to compete with those that don't have to sell their house to purchase the same house that you're looking to buy. So meaning, all right, a house just pops on the market. This house is perfect for you and your family. All right, so you absolutely fell in love with it or fallen in love with it. Don't do that. But you're absolutely falling in love with it. And there's going to be multiple other people that are also in love with that same house. So you have to think about it that way as well. So if you see a house that you and your family love, quote unquote love, think about that. Either, all right, let's do something about it, or reach out to me and say, hey, be upfront with me. Is this realistic? And I'll let you know for sure, because if a house just pops on the market, price well, but it's just on the market and it hasn't had time to sit there and like kind of see the activity that it's having, if it doesn't go under contract in like a day or two, it might not be realistic, and it could be a potential waste of time. And it kind of sucks, but at the same time, that's just the nature of the beast, that you're going to be competing with people that don't have to sell a home, or have already sold their home, moved temporarily, then are looking to purchase a home with the proceeds that they have already in the bank from selling their house. And so some people don't want to move 2 times because it can be a lot. I mean, between having animals, your children, family members, things of that nature, you can't just up and move most times with all of that into a temporary space just to up and move a couple months later into your new home. That's very tough. So some people can pull that off, most can't. If you can, it's a great option to be able to go ahead and sell your house, move temporarily, and then have those proceeds ready to rock and roll, because you can make your offer that more attractive, because you don't have to offer a huge risk of selling your home. I stated earlier about losing some negotiation power whenever you're buying and selling simultaneously, and that's still very true, because you also could potentially lose negotiation power, but you're also looking at losing potentially some money. So you can't price your house if it's $500,000. You can't price your house. Let's say the value, like, it would bring a lot of interest at $500,000. So you can't list it at $550,000. Like, people see that very, very fast. Like, they could look at comps. If it's like a, let's just say, cookie cutter neighborhood, they could easily pull up that neighborhood, see what's recently sold, compare it to the square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, things of that nature, all of the above. They could easily pull up that and say, hey, this house sold at $495,000. This one sold at $510,000. Why are they listed at $500,000? What's so special about their house? And a lot of people are adding stuff that you can't add into the value of a house. For example, a roof is one of those things that you can't add value. You can't add that to what you think. Like, you just replaced it, you paid so much money for it. I get that, I understand that, and that adds value in the sense of peace of mind for a buyer. However, a roof, HVAC system, foundation being repaired, water heater, things of that nature, those are necessities to a home. So those aren't amenities, if you will. So those don't add the value that you had to pay out of pocket to get those repaired or replaced. So think about that. So also, when it comes to contingencies, you have a way better chance of looking at homes that's been on the market for a couple of weeks to a couple of months. And a lot of homes that's been on the market for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, don't just write those off as nobody wants them. This is just a normal type market when homes stay on the market for more than 2 days. We were all spoiled by seeing, not everybody, but we were all spoiled by seeing homes fly off the market within 24 hours, or sight unseen offers and things of that nature. So you just have to start looking at some homes that maybe have been on the market for a couple weeks to a couple months that may work out for you and your family. Because if you're looking to move, that's one of those things that you have a better opportunity if you're needing to sell your home to buy a house, because there's less competition when you're looking at homes that's been on the market for a while. And also, you could potentially negotiate some seller credits, repairs, them waiting on you to sell your house to purchase. That's a huge thing when it comes to someone wanting to sell their house, you wanting to buy it, but you need to sell your current home to purchase that one. So that's definitely something to think about when you're looking at buying and selling simultaneously, needing those proceeds from your current home to purchase a new home. So don't write those homes off. Maybe even start looking at homes close but different areas than you were looking originally for those homes that's just popping up on the market the first week. Pay attention to those homes. Of course, don't completely write them off, but at the same time, you just want to be realistic with yourself, and so it's one of those things you just have to be prepared for. And it's always good. I'm upfront with my clients, I'm realistic with them, and we move forward that way, knowing the transparency is there, knowing I still have their best interests at heart. So know that going in. Whenever you see that stuff in red that says contingency on those websites, that's what that means in a nutshell. Moving along, you see that it's kind of weird because it's cut off, but it just says my first name on it. I'm just like, I need to at least let people know that I'm not that guy, and I have a little bit more on there. But I am that guy, but I'm not that guy. If you're not gonna root for yourself, who's supposed to? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, Ivory Craig Jr. for City Council. We had a work session tonight, and I rocked this with a polo underneath. And I'm up for re-election this year, November 2025. I was first elected in 2021 and was the second black man, black person to be elected to city council in Mount Holly's history. First being Charles McCorkle. Mount Holly was established in 1879 for reference. But I'm up for re-election. I'm here for the people. I've always been that way, just naturally. Back in the day on student council, getting involved and getting in law enforcement, protecting and serving my community. It's just one of those things that you have to find who you are and what you do and what you want out of life. And naturally, just God led me to want to be a voice for people that either don't have one or don't think they have one. And I always knew at a young age that I had a voice, and people listen to me at some form or fashion, even if it's to disagree. That's cool. I mean, I don't want everybody agreeing with me all the time because that's whack. But being on city council for the town I grew up in, the city I grew up in, Mount Holly, NC, has been an absolute blessing. I enjoy it. I treat it as a job. And you should, It definitely doesn't pay like a job. I definitely spend a lot more time dealing with city council stuff and getting maybe destroyed on social media than I get paid for. I guess a lot of people in Mount Holly think that we get paid like $200,000 a year to be on city council, which is not true. You watch too much TV. Hit me up, we'll meet in person. I'll tell you that's not true. But it's really fun. It's fun because I'm on city council in the town that I grew up in, which I absolutely love. But also just staying in the know about what's happening, what's going on, where Mount Holly has been, where Mount Holly is going, and where Mount Holly is. Where Mount Holly is super important to what we're doing for the future. What we've done in the past is super important for what's happening now and what we're doing for the future. But a lot of people, because it hasn't arrived yet, forget about the future. And being on city council, I don't have that luxury of being on city council and not thinking about tomorrow and being a visionary and looking into the future, because there's a lot of people in Mount Holly that are stuck in the old days. And I was there for some of the old days. Being 37 years old, I've seen a lot in those years. I don't remember as much as some people who are older than me, of course, but at the same time, I remember being downtown Mount Holly with friends of mine in school riding our bikes and no one else being down there. no one at all. Like no restaurants down there. The only restaurant there was down there was Hardee's, where Vasilio's currently is, and there was Charlie's Drug, aka Moose Pharmacy now. But those were like two of the things, and the only thing that a kid my age or anybody could actually go into and do something. There was boarded up windows, no businesses. Alcohol wasn't able to even be sold in Mount Holly until the summer of 2003. People are so sick and tired of bars or a restaurant that serves alcohol. You don't have to go to those. You don't have to drink the alcohol. They have food and other things as well. Like, people are so upset about it sometimes. I'm just like, it's only been barely 20 years since alcohol could even be sold in Mount Holly. I had family members when I was a kid, they'd ask my mom, hey, because my mom has never drank in her entire life, and they ask her, hey, can you take me across the bridge? And as a kid, I'm just like, I ain't thinking twice about it. Like, looking back now, going across the bridge was right into Charlotte at the convenience store right there to get alcohol. And it was in brown bags. Of course, me as a kid, I don't know what's in. I thought that was just the bags they gave out. But then growing up, getting more wiser, I I figured out it definitely was a reason why they were asking her to go to the store, because it's not a long drive at all. It's like 2 minutes, but if that. But for them, walking that, there wasn't any sidewalks or anything. So now knowing, it's just funny looking back. So I don't know why people are so upset about it, but I absolutely love the direction that Mount Holly is going to, and Mount Holly is currently in. There's really no commercial retail space for anyone to try to move into to bring a business, which of course I of course don't mean that in a negative way, because I want more businesses. However, it's great that we're almost at 100% occupancy, and that's amazing for a town. And Mount Holly is on the map, and people are starting to see and want to live here. So many people. I have out-of-state clients currently that are looking to move to Mount Holly that have no ties to Mount Holly, but they just done their research, their due diligence, and spoke to their parents who still live here and everything like that. And it's really cool to see that Mount Holly is on the map. And I appreciate everything that the city staff has done and currently doing, because they're the champs in all this. They are there day in and day out, working hard, answering these phone calls, filtering out stuff for us to be able to do our jobs the best we can. And so shout out to Mount Holly city staff. Thank the first responders, the police department, fire department, absolutely the dispatchers. We appreciate you guys for sure. And that's just not me politicking like I was throwing this up. Of course, that's just real. And everybody knows that knows me. I used to be a police officer in Mount Holly, and I have really good relationships with a lot of the people in town, because they saw me before I got into politics, and I haven't changed. The title may have, but I haven't. I'm very approachable per people, not just myself, but people reach out to me because they know we can have a conversation, an open conversation. I'll tell them what's up. They'll let me know some stuff, what's going on, because it's nothing against a lot of other people, but when you're in certain positions, you could be intimidating. And so me still being approachable to not just those officers, but staff as well, I really appreciate that, because it also says something about me, and I want to stay true to that always. And I want to be a voice for people in my community, not just my community, but that's one of the big things, of course, just being on city council. So I want to be able to be a voice for people, make sure our folks are taken care of. And we just had a pay study that's been going on for a while in Mount Holly, and council members, we want to take care of our people. We're doing our due diligence right now to make sure we're on top of things and figuring things out, but we have to stay on top of it, because that's a huge reason. getting talent, hiring talent is not easy, but easier than keeping it. Because once you get in somewhere, everybody's always excited when they get hired somewhere. I mean, that could go down instantly. We've all been there. Everybody that's listening to this has had a job at a time or two, and people listening know that they left for certain reasons. And I don't want people to have to leave because they're not getting compensated or morale's bad because of compensation when I can do something about it. There's a lot of stuff that I can't control, obviously, but that can be one of those things that I could definitely use one of my votes and my voice to be able to help retain that talent to keep them here in Mount Holly, especially in the direction that Mount Holly's going. So November 2025, your boy is up for re-election again. Unless something drastically changes, which God willing it doesn't, I will stay out there for the people on city council. And I appreciate everybody reaching out to me. Message, phone call, text, seeing me in person. Their leadership in the community has been here for decades, and speaking with those people that may not be able to say something publicly because of stances that I've taken, and they can't necessarily take a stance as far as publicly goes because they don't want to get looked at differently. And that's perfectly fine. That's the reason why a lot of people don't get into politics, is because they can get ugly and naturally people can view them differently. And thankfully, I'm in a position to where I could be a voice for them as well. And them, I don't want them to have to speak up and say they stand behind me. It's always awesome when people do. I absolutely love it and need it. However, when you just tell me that you appreciate what I'm doing, the stance that I'm taking, it means more to me than you can even know, especially coming from those people in the community that's been complete pillars of the community for so many years. When I was a kid and been around, seen them around, always making an impact. And it's absolutely a beautiful thing knowing that I have them looking out for me, and when someone's saying something behind my back, they're right there to be able to say something to them, and like, no, I know his integrity, I know his ethics, and stuff like that. It's always good when you got good people talking and standing up for you. And so 2025 November, I think it'll be official this summer. I forgot, it's either June or July. The J's always mess me up. My son's birthdays, both of them are June and July, and I get it confused sometimes. But June or July, I can make it official by signing up at the Board of Elections, put my name on there so I could be on the ballot. And then they say campaign season starts around then, or some people, but for me, campaign season started back in 1988. For me, it's always campaign season. Never knew that I was or would be actually campaigning, but your name is everything. My name is everything to me, and I wear it proudly, obviously, because I hadn't burned too many bridges, and people want to work with people that they like, know, and trust, like I've stated before. And that's all you guys, your name and your word. Word is your bond. And I appreciate everybody who definitely support me and my business, my real estate career, me just voting for me. Even if you don't live in Mount Holly, you just say something to people about me and how you think I'm a good person, or yeah, you should vote for him, things of that nature. It goes a long way, longer than you may think. So I appreciate you guys. I need that this election for sure, because there's some people that's trying to tear down my name and reputation, but it speaks for itself, so it's always out there. Regardless if I'm able to hear it and say something, regardless if you say something to them, I'm building a reputation to where it'll speak for itself. And I appreciate you guys. I keep saying that, but I'm a very grateful guy. I'm also one of those people that I'm humble. I'm blessed. I know that I'm blessed. I have potential, and I try to use most of that potential, not all of it, most of it, 99% of it, because nothing's 100%. But thank you guys for your support, standing up with me and for me, and I appreciate you guys for sure. So that's kind of the city council plug. Ivory Craig Jr. for city council. Not to be confused with my dad, Ivory Craig Sr., because last time I ran, he said he had people asking him if he was running for city council. He said, nah, that's my boy. So not to be confused with. But if to be confused with anybody, it'd be him. Moving along, we're going to talk a little bit about golf, the Masters. Well, it's kind of the same thing, but golf trip with the boys the week of the Masters that I just took this month, but also my first time going to the Masters with my wife this year on April 8th, Tuesday practice round, which was super cool to go to and see. And it's literally more than everything that you think it might be, if that makes sense. And I absolutely enjoyed it so much. Randomly, I would bend down to just rub my hand across the grass in the fairway, or even the second cut, aka the rough, because Augusta National calls it the second cut because they bougie like that. But it's really cool. It was really cool to be able to go there and experience it. And I did not realize up until these last 2 weeks since the Masters tournament that there's so many people that haven't been. Like, of course, I knew there was a lot, but like just talking to people, so many people told me within the last 2 weeks it's on their bucket list. A lot of people that are older than me that have been putting in the lottery to receive Masters tickets for 20 plus years, and they said they've never hit on Masters tickets. And this is, like I stated last episode, it's like my probably 8th year putting in for Masters tickets. Last year, I took a year off from it. It was accident though. I forgot to put in for tickets and didn't get any because I didn't put in for it. But this year I put in for Monday through Sunday, and they let you pick Monday through Sunday, but of course they're only going to select one day for you. And you could put in for 1 ticket, 2 tickets, 3 tickets, or 4. And I put in for 2 tickets because I didn't want to get greedy. I was going to put in for 1, but definitely didn't want to go by myself, but I would. And wasn't going to put in for 3 or 4 because they'd probably be like, nah, he ain't bringing that many people with him. So I definitely put in for 2 tickets for Monday through Sunday. They hit me back like a month or so later and said, congratulations, my man. You have arrived. It didn't say that, but it said something similar. That's how I felt, at least. It was such a cool experience. You know, I had to post on social media, and that's one thing I definitely have been and will continue to brag about, because it's literally like hitting the lottery, except I had to pay for everything. But it was really cool, though, because it's quote-unquote cheaper than a lot of other things. The PGA Championship is coming back to Charlotte. Hadn't been here since 2017, but it's coming next month, and those tickets are ridiculous. I think they're $300 to $400 to get in there. And for what? Like, I think the VIP of the Masters tournament is like $140. The tickets I purchased was $100 each. You can't even. I think that might have been out the door, because you can't even get concert tickets for that cheap anymore with all those BS fees. Quote unquote, I hate Ticketmaster. So the Masters, they got it going on. However, they got me though. I got all the merch. How much did you get? All of it. No, I didn't get all of it, but I got a lot more than I thought I would, for sure. In my head, I didn't necessarily set a price value like budgetary wise, but I did say I'm gonna be reasonable. I'm only gonna grab a couple things, but then they got like random stuff that you didn't even think about that they would have, like this Masters Cup. Like, it's so sweet. Like, I have a one of those Stanley joints that I carry around with me, and got like my sticker on there, Ivory Craig Group for Real Estate. But like now I'm like carrying this around daily, so like people know. Yeah, it's a conversation starter. You go to the Masters this year? Oh yeah, it ain't nothing to go to the Masters. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I don't say that. But it's one of those things I'm just like, yeah, like I'm proud of. It's cool to be able to do that because if you're into golf, if you're not even into golf like that, being able to go down there and experience that is really cool. The food is awesome because it's super cheap still. I think it's been the same price for so many years, probably since the doggone 60s, because there's, I think, $2, $3 sandwiches. The beer, I think, just went up recently, or the beer just went up, I think, like $1 or $2, but it was like $5 maybe. It's not expensive at all. And so where they really get you, like I said before, is going to be the merch, the gift shop. Going in there, and that stuff is priced generally, I think, fine. I mean, this hat was $39. The other hats I got were all $34. This hat, though, it came from Berkman's Place, which is you have to be an Augusta National member to actually shop in there. But don't worry about how I got that. But it's definitely repping. This is my new favorite hat for sure. But I got like 8 hats in all. Let's see. I think 4 of them were for friends. And then the other, Jen, my wife, asked me, she was like, "You keeping the rest of those?" I'm just like, yeah. We're in the Rockies. If you know, you know. No, but I mean, it's one of those things. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, so you got to capitalize. Especially, it's being really cool that it happened in 2025. My first ever Masters going to. There's only been now 6 people in the history of golf to complete the Grand Slam to win all 4 majors in their career. Not the same year, but just in their careers collectively. There's only been 6 people to do that in the history of golf. Tiger Woods being the most recent in the year 2000. Rory McIlroy just won in 2025, first year ever me going to the Masters, which is really cool. So it's definitely, I'll never forget me being able to go that year. Like, what year did you go, like 20 years from now? I'm like, no, I can't do that because I'll remember that there's only 6 people. I was there for the 6th person to win the Grand Slam, all 4 majors. So such a cool experience being able to do that. I thought about if I do go to the PGA Championship, I'm going to try to take my 2025, I got it right here, Masters flag, try to get Rory to sign it because he's going to be obviously at the PGA Championship, but I'm going to get my daughter to hold it and ask him because he'll probably brush me off. But if I can get that signed, that would be dope. However, I have to go, so I'm not going to spend, though, $1,000 to get into that place because I've been there a million times. But it's cool. Rory, he's a doggone beast when it comes to Quail Hollow, the golf course that the PGA Championship is at. So I'm definitely curious to see what he's going to do in that tournament because since that monkey is off his back, I feel like he's going to go and win multiple tournaments this year simply because that Masters win for him ever since 2011, really, where he exploded, where he could have won, it's off his back now. And so it's going to bring a new swagger, I feel. So I think he could potentially have a Scotty Scheffler year that Scotty had in 2024, if not better. It's still early. I think he has 3 wins so far this year, at least 2. And so the Players he won in March. And the Players, pretty much, people call it the 5th major and could potentially take the position of PGA Championship, I feel like anyways, and I think that's opinion is shared by a couple of people. But it's really cool. I'm looking forward to trying again soon. I think the Masters lottery opens up this June. Yeah, I think it's this June, and they'll let you know in July. So they'll probably see my name and automatically rule me out. But it's all good. I'll be back. I'm trying to play, not in the Masters, but Augusta National. So, hi, it's your boy Berkman's Place. But anyways, it was a dope experience being able to go down there with my wife. We just took a day trip. We didn't stay the night anywhere. We thought about it, but we left super early, like 6 in the morning. Got up there around 8:30. You roll past the Hooters. If you've been down to Augusta, the Hooters. As soon as we got there, everybody knows John Daly is the Hooters mascot pretty much. It's not the owl, it's John Daly. And it said, "Meet John Daly here today." So that was pretty cool. We didn't stick around for that because we left around 4 o'clock in the afternoon to head back home because, like I said, we went on a Tuesday. It was a school night. We got 2 kids that preschool, elementary age, so we wanted to get back, make sure they got to school and everything like that. And so it was a blessing. Like, I don't regret not staying or anything because I think I looked originally after I hit the lottery to get the Masters tickets, that I looked to see how much an Airbnb would be and stuff like that. And people say that they can pay their mortgage off of 1 week. They can pay their mortgage for the year off of the week of the Masters. People staying there because they charge such a high amount for their homes. It's insane, like $30,000 for the week. And people pay that because you literally have the wealthiest people in the world there that week at the Masters. The airport runways and parking lots are insane, like just by seeing photos and things of that nature. So it's really cool. It's also crazy that Augusta National has purchased over $200 million worth of property for different things, most of it being parking, and I think they're looking to purchase more. So also, I'm trying to get in and get my Georgia real estate license so I could represent them. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Let's get this money. But anyways, also that week, Thursday, so April 10th, we went to the Masters. April 8th. April 10th, me and my boys went on a guys golf trip, which is really awesome. We played 4 rounds of golf. Played Thursday, 2 Friday, 1 Saturday. But Saturday morning, we played a par 3, which is really cool. It was a nice warm-up for the Saturday afternoon round. Last year, we went to Etowah in the mountains and played a Sunday round before we came home. It was miserable, so we learned from that mistake and didn't play a Sunday round, just hit the road the next morning. And it was cool. I mean, nothing too crazy happened that I know of, at least, because I was the first one in bed every night. Old man Ivy. First one in bed every night, but also like the first one up in the morning, showered, ready to play some golf. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. That good time was playing golf, and so that's all I want to do. I've said it before, and if you're a listener, you know that I'm low-key obsessed with just playing and trying to get better. That's what I do. I try to get better at stuff that I do, and so I just appreciate the game. I love it. I guess I used to be this way about basketball, to where I would eat, sleep, and you know what, basketball my entire life up until I guess like really college, where I stopped playing. Like, I went off to school to play college basketball, found out the school I was at was not it, and so ended up not playing anymore. And went to Belmont Abbey, was going to try to play there as well, but it just wasn't me. I couldn't do it anymore, and so I lost the love for the game because I think I'd done it so much growing up. I mean, pretty much from the age of probably 7 years old, realistically, to like 19, ball was life. That's all I did. Nothing but basketball. But anyways, that's a story for another episode. But I'll tell you one more thing. Just the courses that we played down there was really cool. We played Wachesaw East that Thursday, kind of a warm-up round. I didn't play my best. That was the worst round I actually played the entire weekend because we just had a 3.5-hour drive. We get there, have to rush lunch, and automatically go to the golf course and play. So that wasn't it. My outfit was dope, but outside of that, I did not play well. I shot like a 94 and just wasn't feeling it at all. But there was some tough courses, the beach courses, you got to have a lot of sand. We were down at Murrells Inlet. And the next day, what course did we play? We played Blackmore first thing that morning. And so at Blackmore, we're like at 8 o'clock tee time. I'm in the first group of our 8 guys, 2 groups of 4. I'm in the first group. We tee off. My buddy is about to hit his approach shot into the green, which is like kind of a hard left. And he shanks one hard right. Work van is driving on the road in the neighborhood. Bow! Shatters the windshield of the work van that's driving, that's in motion on the road in the neighborhood. Nowhere near the green. Absolutely hits the top 10 worst golf shots that weekend. And I say top 10, it being number 1, but saying top 10 because I saw some bad, terrible, disgusting golf shots from my friends, not from me. I probably had like 2. But he hit the windshield, shattered it. They're over there talking. I'm trying to not pay attention too much because there's a lady walking in the neighborhood that lives there. She's looking back like, what the heck is going on? She jumped after the windshield busted, as she should. She was walking right past it as it happened. The guy, I will not name him right now unless I accidentally say it, was talking to the 2 workers for I'd say real time, 3 or 4 minutes. And on the golf course, it's the first hole of the day. On the golf course, that's a long time to be talking without any movement towards the hole. So I know our buddies in the back were talking junk. They probably didn't know they didn't know what was going on. We found out. But so I finished my shot, hit a decent second shot after listening, not really listening, but watching them talk over there, the 2 workers and my buddy. I walk over to him and say, hey, you guys, not telling you what to do, but just because they were on FaceTime with their boss as well. I say, not telling you what to do, but take your insurance, take it to the clubhouse, give them your information. We're in such and such group. This is our tee time, and they'll handle it. They'll call the cops, file a police report. The police will probably take a golf cart, come find us at some point after you tell them all that information so they could file a report with this guy, yada, yada, yada. I said all that in real time, 20, 25 seconds. They're like, oh, okay, cool. Appreciate that. I'm like, cool. All right. So my buddy gets back in the cart. We drive to the green, continue to play golf. And I knew, unfortunately, that's how I handled it the first time something like that happened, where another buddy of mine on our first golf trip to Hilton Head playing Harbor Town thins one across the green 50 yards over the green to a road where a Dodge Ram, I think it was driving, going more faster than this time, hits the glass of the vehicle going probably 20, 25 miles per hour. Bow! Another one. That one was even louder because he was going faster. Just science, just science. And that's why I knew how to handle that, because that's kind of what happened the first time. Our 4 caddy, which a 4 caddy is a caddy on the golf course. They follow our group. They walk ahead to watch our ball to see where it goes, stuff like that. Give us reads, tell us this, tell us that to help us out. So it's really cool. Harbor Town, that was Harbor Town. Really cool golf trip. The 4 caddy said, that's never happened before. I've worked here for years. Thank you for handling that. And I was a police officer at the time. And so I said things with confidence, and I still do, but I said things with confidence. It could have been the most incorrect thing that I said my entire life to that gentleman that got his window shattered, and to the 4 caddy in front of my other friend. This is different people, by the way, that shattered it. But the second guy was on the golf trip with the first guy as well. But anyways, they believed it. They said, boom, that works. And so that's kind of what happened. That's what I told the next golf trip situation. But the craziest part is they went and done exactly that. Went to the pro shop, said that the pro shop people came driving out to try to find us. I literally told them the name and the tee time. There was a language barrier there, and so they went to the group behind us, which they didn't know what happened at the time because they hadn't caught up to us yet. And they said, no, that wasn't us. And so they didn't know what happened. So long story short, the pro shop, the cops, whatever, insurance company never found us to talk to us about that. Well, I ain't gonna say us because I was not involved. That was my friend. He knows who he is. Anyways, that is one of my favorite stories from the golf trip, and I literally witnessed both of those vehicle windshields being shattered. First group, first hole on both of those golf trips. Crazy. Hopefully I won't be the next guy to do that ever. But I appreciate you guys being here and listening tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to Ivory's Soapbox on Apple Podcasts. I'm on Spotify as well. But y'all have a good night. Be kind.